to supply a new $1 million idea every week, and I haven't done that. But today I'm going to give you some food for thought. It's not a finished $1 million idea, but it's an area that you could look into. So I worked the grocery stocking yesterday, and my previous experience with grocery stocking, or not grocery, but stocking, had been with a Target store more than 10 years ago. And the Target system items had a aisle number, a section number, a shelf number, and then a position on that shelf. So you'd have aisle 15A, section 1, shelf 3, position 4, and you'd go to that, and there'd either be the same item would already be there, or there'd be a hole there, and there'd be a sticker on the shelf, and you match up the item to the description and the UPC, last four numbers of the UPC, let's say, make sure you're putting the right item in the right place, and that's how that worked. So at the supermarket yesterday, there's a big pallet about 5 feet high, maybe six feet high. A lot of small boxes, all shrink wrapped. So what we did is we lined up shopping carts 1 through 15 for the aisles, and then brought all the boxes to the appropriate shopping cart, and there was a couple aisles, aisle 5 and aisle 12 had a lot of items, so you really kind of needed 2 carts for those. So that didn't work out exactly well, but it worked out okay. So then, and then we just bring 1 cart at a time. He originally wanted to bring all the carts out and then go around to the different aisles, but he decided to do 1 cart and finish that one and then bring out another cart, which is so you have a kind of a blocking people in the back room instead of the customers. Anyway, so this company, this is a huge distributor called KeHE that has over 70 brands that they supply to the Vons supermarket chain. They don't have the location code. They only have it to the aisle. So you get to it's, let's say, a small box of 6 or 12 little bottles of spice. Okay, and there's about half of one side of that entire aisle is 300 different brands of spices, or 80 brands, and 300 bottles for each brand, whatever. So it takes a long time. This was the first problem I noticed. It takes a long time to find out where this one particular brand of spice goes. And you can't just find a matching label because that product might be sold out. So you have no idea. There was a slight clue because this company's shelf labels were a particular color. They were yellow, and all the other UPC codes that were at the on the edge of the shelf were white. So you had to kind of methodically start at the top shelf and go along all these, find a yellow sticker, and then try to match up the last 4 digits of the UPC code. Anyways, to make a long story short, it's very time consuming to even figure out where you're going to supposed to put this product. Then there's the rotation issue. You're supposed to take all the oldest stuff out and then, put the new stuff in the back and then put the old stuff back in. The guy that I was working with did not do that at all. He just shoved the new stuff right in front. I did it. I was conscientious. I took all the stuff. There was amazing stuff in the back. The front of the facings of the shelves are all beautiful, neat and clean looking. In the back was a ridiculous night. There's half-eaten chocolate chip cookies. There's products that belong halfway down the aisle. So it was like you could write a whole book of the dirty supermarket secrets at the back of the shelves. But it's the honor system, that's problem number 2. There's going to be a lot of items that end up out of date because the various people that don't give a shit that are not rotating them. Then there's also an honor system kind of with the customer, because there's customers like me that are gonna, if in the case of bread and milk, I don't take the one at the front. I, I grab the stuff at the back. Um, if in some cases, but I'm sure there's a lot of other people that do that too. So they're not automatically taking the oldest product either. And so that's like the three main things. It's inefficient system, time. Oh, and then there's no place, if you are going to be conscientious and clear out the older stuff and put the new stuff in the back. There's nowhere at all to put the old stuff. You have to. What are you going to do? Put it on the floor? I mean, there should be, at minimum, you should have some kind of rolling shelf like the ones that go across your bed so you can use your computer when you're lying in bed. You should have something like that that's height adjustable, and you adjust it up to the height of the shelf that you're stocking, and you put all the old stuff on the shelf, and then it would have to be actually two shelves. You put the new package side by side, or below it, or next to it, and then you would have a nice, flat, wide, clean space available to somewhere to put the stock that you're taking off the shelf. Even if you have that, it's still an inefficient process, because you want to take out the old stuff, put in the new stuff, put the old stuff back in. That's ridiculous. In this day and age of robotics, artificial intelligence, 3D printing, that is like using a horse and buggy. It's so ripe for disruption. It is so. As I warned you in the beginning, I do not have the solution for you. Here's how you can do it. Here's the better way. Here's your $1 million idea. But I do guarantee that's $1 billion easy if you can figure out how to make that process more efficient. That's the general rule of inventions. The cooler it is, and the better it would be. The harder it is to actually implement it, So it's like, what if you could have a battery the size of a quarter that would last for 2 weeks? Yeah, that's what everybody wants. That would be the greatest invention in history, but that's like defying the laws of physics to make it happen. So that's the general rule of thumb but I don't want to, tell you that it's impossible, because it might end up being actually pretty simple. My thoughts so far are that you would want to have the codes on top of all products, would have the code on top. Now, you might have to build a special containers that you don't, instead of putting the spice on the shelf, just the spice, you put the spice into a compartment of a module, a big module of compartments, and you add the spice in there, and then you have a big scanner bar that goes from about 4 feet wide, and this scanner starts at the front of the shelf and goes all the way to the back of the shelf, at the top of above the items, and scans the tops of all those items, and can figure out which one should be in front, and then those items are on like a motorized little. Each compartment of that module is individually motorized, and they can be shuffled around like a Rubik's cube, and put the oldest ones at the front and the newest ones at the back, and so it would be a combination of the robotics, basically. Something I got to keep thinking about. I was also trying to think of like a shelf that would flip either horizontally or vertically, that you could just kind of flip the shelf so that you're accessing the back instead of the front. So far from a brainstorm for you, but an area where if you think about it and come up with something, you're guaranteed a large fortune